wouldn't hear
basket of
Oh,
Johnny
a
Walker.
basket. Here for
I
weeks.
get a little bit of basket for
It
him.
was-
Yeah.
yeah,
Little
Johnny Walker.
Yeah. We get a basket, we get some. But, so, can she do that and just tell us and we'll,
Yeah. We'll
we should kick in whenever, because that's a nice.
I'll have
He was-
explore the options and perhaps Mark will reach out to you and say
Yeah.
these are the options.
He's been ill for a while, right?
Yeah, he's been ill for quite a while.
So,
He was a fireman in New Britain, and I guess he was the last big fire at some plastics company.
Oh, really?
And they didn't have the safety, the air packs back then,
Oh, wow.
so his lungs were damaged, I think. as well as
That's
other
too
issues.
bad.
Who was suffering?
The other way.
Take this.
Oh, okay. Geez, that's kind of simple, isn't it?
A rose?
Like me.
You had to get the right combination.
A
If you don't get
rose?
the right combo, Peter,
Yeah.
believe me, I had some
Tell me
trouble with
about
it. I had some trouble with it myself.
what happened?
I can't reclaim the hose.
Yeah, we had the printed package too, I know. I see that.
Who was in there?
I'm gonna use one thing though. I'm gonna try to use this damn thing. But I have
Is this that's one? I answered Christie on
I have almost 7.
Yeah, so that clock.
Oh, yeah. It's like a
15 minutes off, yeah.
Net control.
Oh, it's off.
Yeah, it's off by almost 15.
What's the story?
Battery
What's this thing?
No, it is, anyone can sign it.
Oh, that's the thing we got. We got the email already. That's right.
it. How do I get back to the email?
Hit your home button,
Because that is the last one to ignore.
Yeah,
and you should have it on the bottom, show you mail icon.
yeah, but it goes right to the,
Screen.
oh, here it is. No, it goes right to
Go
the,
up to the left hand where it says done.
yeah, oh, okay.
This is for later.
You're dragging me into the 21st century
Yeah,
here.
slowly but surely, you're kicking in the screen.
It's not right, Pete. It's not right.
Okay.
Now hit the, see that PDF?
Yeah, no, I'll see what else I got.
Oh, you're checking the other stuff?
Yeah.
I checked mine earlier. Yeah, why not?
Let's make it really.
Couple minutes.
I'm all right, how you doing?
That's
So
nice.
there.
It's a
Can I
good,
make him for this?
See, there he's there. Anyone making the speaking or making noise will pop up on the screen. That's what you want.
Back, we're all set. Thank you. Mr. Chris? Quite the close-up, Chris.
I know.
Ah! Still like Chris.
Chris, it's not Halloween yet. It's terrible. It's terrible.
It's like, you know.
good argument.
For the fourth item.
What's that? Oh, okay. Oh, for that, yeah. Should be, right? Open. But, we always say that,
I know, we never.
and then there's a problem.
Yep.
Should be a good meeting.
Chris, can you mute yourself, because I can't mute you.
You might want to say.
I better set this
What do we got? What do we got? So, yeah, exactly. So are we, on time, Kate? Should we good?
Yep, 7 o'clock.
That's what my new device says, 7 PM right there. Look at that. How about that? All right, let me welcome everyone to the town council meeting and call the meeting to order. If we can stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call?
Councilor Angelica Stetson,
Here.
Mayor Kaczynski,
Here.
Councilor Letty, Councilor Payanessa.
Here.
Councilor Rosso,
Here.
Councilor Renata,
Here.
Councilor Beach.
Here,
There you have a quorum.
So now we're on to our, I should mention before we get going, just that, unfortunately, Councilor Bloody couldn't be here. His dad passed on, yesterday, I think late last night. So our condolences to Brendan and his family. He has been ill for a while, I understand. Anyway, it's never a good thing. Audience of citizens. So if there's anyone in the audience that wishes to speak, that would be your time on anything on the agenda or anything else that's on your mind.
I'm gonna unmute everybody. So hopefully, just remember you're all unmuted.
Hi, Mayor. I'd like to speak if possible. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Kristen, how are you?
All right, I'm doing well, fantastic. Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen Campanelli, 30 Sawmill Drive, Berlin, Connecticut. First, I'd like to offer my condolences to Councilor Letty on the passing of his father. That's terrible. So I had the opportunity to serve with him a couple of years ago, and he's a good guy. So sorry about that. Sorry to hear that. I'd like to move on, though. I think it's sad that some of our town councilors think that they only represent some of Berlin. I'd first like to start by thanking you, Mayor Mark, and councilors Peter Rosso, Mike Yaranaga, and Joanne Angelico Stetson for always being so responsive to my questions and telephone calls. I am, however, very disappointed in Donna Veach. Myself and several citizens have reached out over the past 3 months to Councilor Veach, and she's either outright refused to answer our questions or ignored them completely. This is conduct very unbecoming of an elected representative. So I've resorted to appearing at Audience of Citizens tonight as a last-ditch effort in getting my questions answered before the November election. The reasons we had reached out were to ask her views on several topics. First and foremost, Donna, I'd like to thank you for posting Bob's letter to your page today. The caption did, however, leave out some vital information. I would first like to know, do you support gay marriage? If you do,
I think this is completely inappropriate, Kristen. I'm not going to answer any questions regarding my campaign, and that's that. Inappropriate.
okay, well then I'll finish what I have to say and I'll keep my 3 minutes. Thanks.
So
If you do, I would like to know whether or not you would vote against bills to remove the rights presently held by gay folks to marry. What do you think about the funding for nonprofits? That was another question that had come up from several of my contacts, and they didn't get a response to that either. Nonprofits provide a substantial number of services to families and citizens of Connecticut, and they haven't seen a budget increase in over a decade. Where do you stand on increasing their budget? If you support it, how will you balance increasing that funding? You've also mentioned that you'd cut wasteful spending, which sounds good until we get into the specifics. As you know, budget dollars are representative of services that are utilized by Connecticut's public. Where would you begin on cutting wasteful spending? Healthcare is the #1 priority issue for American families, and we are on the verge of losing the ACA. Where do you stand on that? What will you do to protect coverage for Connecticut families? I know you're anti-tolls, so is Joanne. Can you tell me what your plan is to fix transportation funding for our unsafe roads and bridges? You want to cut taxes. How would you do that? I've seen Trump signs at your headquarters and in your supporters' lawns. In June of 2020, President Trump's Department of Health and Human Services released a rule allowing medical professionals to turn LGBTQ folks away based on gender or sexual identity. The Connecticut legislature has largely protected us from these horrific examples of discrimination. What do you plan on doing to protect my right to seek medical care and attention as a gay woman?
I told you we're not taking this as a political platform.
Yeah, Kristen,
You are done
I'm not
with this
really
conversation.
sure that this is the proper forum. This is for issues for the council as a whole, for the town of Berlin. I mean, the election's the election, but I guess we can have someone there asking another Joanne the same questions. That's not really the
Right, they could have. That's sort of the idea. That's what Audience of Citizens is. It's my opportunity to speak to you as my elected representatives, and she's not responding. And
No,
quite frankly-
that's not right. This is for issues for the town of Berlin that the council has to handle. None of those issues
it doesn't say
primarily.
that in the agenda.
Yeah, that's what it's about. Well, I just, that's what I said. Anything on your mind for the town of Berlin, whether it's on the agenda or not, but it's the business of the town. Not
Right, this is the
political
business of the
campaign. No, that's not business
My
of the town
counselor's not
council.
responding to my questions is the business of the town.
Then you take that up outside of a council meeting. It's not.
I have several times.
I've never, in my 6 years,
I haven't
5
gotten
years
a
here,
single response.
we've never had anything like this because it's, the council is for the town of Berlin business. That is not the town of Berlin.
This
business.
is town of
The
Berlin
campaign.
business. I have questions and I haven't been answered, so that's
Is
town
your
of
3
Berlin
minutes
business.
up? All right, I mean, come on, you're not gonna argue back and forth about that.
Well, you already did, so
Well, yeah, but you won't concede, so whatever, I won't concede either
of course
because
I'm not gonna concede. Come on, Mark.
why don't we just have a debate somewhere else? This is not the place for a debate, this is town
Well, she
council.
didn't show up to the debates either, so I have no idea what she's going to do.
Not have
Okay.
a conversation with you.
All right, is
If
that?
you'd like to give me a call, Donna, I would be happy to have a conversation with you. Will you call me outside of the council meeting?
I will think about it.
All right, anything else, Kristen?
Fantastic.
For the
Nope.
town?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience that has any business for the council? Yes, Chris? Yes, Chris? I don't know, what is he pie?
Oh, yeah.
Is he waving? I don't know.
There you go.
Oh, yes, no, I would like to speak. No, I just want to speak on behalf of topic one. I had a chance to talk to the chief, talked about the fact that the opportunity here to get a good portion of this as a grant, I think is vitally important for the council to take action on this for the safety of our officers as well as our residents. I think having the body cameras is good for everyone, and I think this opportunity to have someone potentially pay a portion of it, the state or otherwise, is an opportunity we definitely should not look at lightly. We should take advantage of it.
Okay, Chris, thank you. Hey, while you're on, Chris, just since you're there, I don't know if you're on the rest of the agenda, but we took these since it's freezing up. We talked about, just because I got a lot of questions, I'm sure you guys are too, about Halloween, remember? And we were talking about the businesses, remember we did that last year on Farmington Avenue? Are we, I think you were gonna talk to some of the businesses, I'm just curious, how are we still planning that?
Yes, I'm working right now with Tracy from Dragonfly Design. We're putting some information together. We have about 15 to 20 businesses which have already said yes. We're looking at noon to 3 p.m. on Halloween. We actually have a local business which is donating a bunch of pumpkins for participants as well as cauldrons for businesses. So we're working on that right now. Going to have some ads in the Herald as well. I'm sorry, not the Herald, take that back. In the Berlin Citizen about it. And so we're excited about it, hoping to ramp that up a little bit and really get more businesses involved. I'm reaching out individually to them, and the goal would be to spread it townwide and really to be able to make this a community event. This is our second year, and would love to see if we can move it forward, and hopefully people can go to businesses they may not even exist or have never been in before.
Okay, so, and I know we got a couple weeks, so you'll get some more guidance out, and obviously the businesses, I assume we will all, you'll put it out there, but we'll take the proper precautions, obviously face masks and whatever else we need to do. Maybe we just.
Yeah,
put
face
some direction out there
face
for the
masks and
businesses and all of us, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the recommendation is to use tongs. So have the cauldron, hand someone the candy with tongs. So I think that's a safer way to go with the masks. Hopefully it'll be out in class tomorrow to both everybody on my list. We're going to have some pickup dates for businesses for the cauldrons, for individuals and participants that want to be going for candy for the. So that'll be in the information tomorrow. I just need to get it all together because there just was a lot of stuff, especially because, more of an FYI for the council, the state has just created a $50 million grant fund, up to $5,000 for any business below a certain size. So that kicks off in early November. I'm excited about that. Still details to be looked at, but I think a lot of our businesses hopefully can take advantage of that. So long story short, it'll be out hopefully tomorrow or at the latest on Thursday with details on the different pieces.
Okay, Thank you. I just thought while you were there, because I know I'm getting questions. I'm sure all of us have gotten some of the questions, so appreciate that.
Will that be on the town website? Halloween?
We will, as of right now, we have not. I'm working with Tracy to get the final write-up. We had one that essentially was geared towards the businesses. We need to get one that's more public oriented, but yeah, my plan is to talk to Kate, see if she can put something on the front of the site, if I can get her information that makes sense.
Great.
And then also get to our, Jen, who oversees our Facebook sites for the town of Berlin.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate that. Still in the audience of citizens, anything else for the council?
I will mute everybody.
Okay. So we'll close the audience of citizens and move on to our meeting agenda, starting with our consent agenda. We have 3 items on the consent agenda. Donations for I know we've all reviewed it ahead of time. We've got agenda for the donations for the library, deposits for them, that's all great. We have a request from the Veterans of Foreign Wars to waive their building permit fees as a nonprofit. And we have a donation to the Police Hero Support Program. So if there's no further discussion, we'll go ahead and take a motion for our consent agenda.
I move to accept our consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. Second?
Second that.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Okay, number 1.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. The first item on the agenda is the 21 recording equipment cameras reimbursement grant. Deputy Susie is on the line, and he's going to.
Hey, Chief.
Good evening, everybody. How you doing?
How's it going?
Everything's good. So in-car and body camera replacement was always in our 5-year capital plan, and it was landing in fiscal year 22, this current budget year. So as we were working through our capital process, we were looking at different vendors, and we stumbled across that there was leftover money in the previous OPM grant for body cameras. And what this basically boils down to is an opportunity for the town to apply for that existing grant, not the grant that's going to be coming out tied to the police accountability law that went into effect in July that mandates body cameras. And the difference between the 2 grants is the new grant, which isn't out, is going to operate very similar. I spoke to the woman at OPM who administers it. It's because we're not a distressed municipality. In the new grant, we'll only get 30%, and in this old grant, the reimbursement 50% for eligible equipment and purchases. So that's what it boils down to: a 20% difference in reimbursement, and there's limited funding left. So it's kind of a race to who get at it first, and it's first come, first served. So I spoke to Nicole at OPM again today, and she assured me the money is there, and it looks like if everything goes forward, we'll be able to get the reimbursement. Which the final reimbursement amount it only covers first year costs for the body cameras, not the in-car cameras, and server storage, equipment, warranties for the first year. So we're looking. Originally, it was looking at about $80,000 for the reimbursement piece, but it's probably going to be a little less than that because that had included some in-car cameras. The in-car cameras aren't covered by the grant, won't be covered by a new grant either because they were purchased in 2014 and they had to be purchased prior to 2010. So we lost out on that. But nothing's really going to change in the new grant, according to OPM. Is they won't be covering in-car cameras there either. The only difference will be the reimbursement percentage.
Okay. That's good. That's great. We can, so I mean, obviously our goal is we're going to cover all our officers with the body.
So currently we have 8 body cameras. We have a voluntary program. Some officers do use them, and we have 14 cameras in the cars. Because of the accountability law that was passed, it requires any patrol vehicle to have the in-car camera, so we're actually increasing that to 16 vehicles. And all of our officers are required to wear the body cameras, so we have 42 sworn and we have 2 spares just in case one goes. You can't really, you need some wiggle room there
Sure.
in case equipment repairs.
Always gonna have technical difficulties, we know that. So this will cover everybody.
Yep.
And the car and all the cars.
Yeah, and they are, so we looked at Axon, which is Taser. They do a body camera system. They came in almost double the price, and our current vendor is WatchGuard. They got bought out by Motorola, and we preferred them, the current vendor, and that's who we'd like to go with. And they're substantially less expensive.
Well, that's good. And we know them, right? We know they're reliable.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, great. Any questions for the chief? Yes.
Yeah, Chief, when we were gonna do this, and I think it was 2014 or 15, the concern of the chief at that time was for storage of all the films. Has that been addressed? I mean, are you comfortable with what we're gonna have to do?
Yeah, so Brian, we consulted with Brian Freeman, who was in on our vendor selection, and one of the biggest price differences was the storage for Axon is in the cloud. It's cloud-based. With WatchGuard, we have our own server. We have plenty of storage, and it's built into the price. So not an issue with the storage.
Thank you.
Are you so you got to keep? I assume you got to keep the storage for a certain period of time.
Yep,
It's just
state records retention cover the storage, and of course we'll have policies that govern all that as well. Actually, the police accountability bill has language in it for storage as well, for how long to keep the video.
Is it a long time or relatively short, unless it's a problem?
I believe it's either. It depends if it's a pending prosecution or something like that. Obviously, you would the storage retention is different, but if it's just general video with no pending litigation or pending cases type of thing, I think it might be like 6 months to a year.
Okay. Wow, that's a long time. That's a lot of video. 6 months.
Yeah.
To a year. Okay. All right. Appreciate that. Any other questions you guys have? Hearing none, go ahead and get 3 motions on this item.
Move to authorize the town manager to apply for, accept on behalf of the town, the OPM body worn recording equipment, BWRE reimbursement grant. And to authorize the town manager to enter into and execute any and all agreements, contracts, and documents necessary to obtain said grant. If awarded, grant funds are to be deposited into the body worn and in-car camera.
Thank you. Second on that?
Second.
Thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Number 2.
Move to appropriate $152,992 of general fund unassigned fund balance, body worn and in-camera car account within the general fund to fund the purchase of body cameras and in-car cameras in accordance with the recently signed police accountability law pending approval of the Board of Finance.
Thank you. Second on that?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any other questions on this? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 3.
Move to waive the bidding requirements and award the contract WatchGuard/Motorola in the amount not to exceed $252,992, since this is in the best interest of the town.
Thank you. Second on that?
Second that.
Thank you. Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item number 2. Thank you, Chris. I think you're waiting a little bit longer
Yeah, I'll be around.
with the update. Just hang in there. Thank you. Agenda item number 2 is the purchase of 2021 Ford Utility Police Interceptor vehicle for the police department, utilizing the state of Connecticut Department of Administrative Services contract. Fleet manager Simons. Introduce the summary.
Hey, Jim.
How we doing?
Good. How you doing?
Pretty good. Everybody staying healthy?
So far.
So far, yeah.
That's great, great. So what we're doing is, you awarded us some money to purchase 4 police cruisers for the police department. So we're using the state contract again and going out to purchase them just like we did in previous years.
Yes, okay, yeah, I know, we approved this earlier, right? This was on the capital projects.
Correct.
And I had Board of Finance already, so. Okay, all right, so we've seen this before. Any questions for Jim? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and take a motion.
Move to approve the purchase of 4 2021 Ford Utility Police Interceptors for the police department, utilizing the State of Connecticut Department of Administrative Services contract number 12PSX0194 for an amount not to exceed $146,565.
Thank you. Second on that?
Second that.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Okay.
Agenda item number 3, to purchase tires to replace out-of-date tires on the town's fire apparatus fleet. Simons.
Okay, so the state legislature a few years ago enacted a legislation that stated that we must maintain our apparatus to NFPA standards. And in doing that, there are certain parameters within that have to be met. One of the parameters is that we have to make sure that the tires on our apparatus are no older than 7 years. So I was trying to change out the tires in my normal budget, and that just wasn't feasible. So I put in the budget this year to change out the remainder of the tires to make us in compliance with that legislation. So we went out to bid on it, and we had one vendor that bid on it. And he came in with the bid, and I learned that the tire, because we're going with an OEM tire, which is a Michelin tire, but there's a federal contract out there, and all the pricing is the same, much like it is on Goodyear and Firestone tires. So I went to the local vendor that we utilize all the time to ask them about A, the contract, the federal contract on there, and B, what the cost would be to put the tires on and install them. Because the bidder was going to charge us $150 an hour for transportation fee to come down here and labor fees to install the tires. And that is an open parameter in which we couldn't really, well, we could control the cost, but we didn't know what the final cost was going to be. So actually, the local vendor, Connecticut Tire, says, yeah, it's $30 a tire. There's no labor fees on it or anything else like that. So when we put the package together, apples to apples, they came in considerably cheaper when you figure in that $150 an hour. So what I'm asking that the council will do is to reject the bid, and then let's award this contract to the local vendor to do the work for us.
Okay, great. Well, I'm glad you did your homework. So it looks like we found a better way to spend taxpayers' money, a little bit less. So that's great, and also get some nice tires for our firemen to be safe with. So
and support local vendors.
Yeah, that's great too. That's a cherry on top. Okay, any other questions for Jim? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and take the first motion.
Move to reject bid number 2021-2 as the town's best interest, since a local firm provided a better price.
Thank you. Second on that?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 2.
Move to approve the purchase of replacement tires for the town's fire apparatus fleet, Connecticut Tire of Berlin, Connecticut, the amount not to exceed $27,054, as it is in the best interest of the town.
Thank you. Second on that?
Second that.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Nice job.
Agenda item number 4, modification of town contract with Newport Realty concerning deposit in escrow, closing dates and cost sharing, and increase in authorization for change orders. Contract for the Boulevard Loading Train Station, construction company. I believe I have Jim Mahoney on the phone, and perhaps perhaps Tony and Mark on standby. Jim, if you're on, go ahead.
Crickets.
Okay. It's gonna go back to you, Chris, if he's not there.
I think he is. He may not be able to unmute. He's actually, he's the 860-2, whatever, 17 on the bottom. But either way, this is basically asking the council to enter a contract agreement with Newport Realty. Basically looking to get the additional deposit going to the town, increasing the cost share because of costs of sidewalks on Farmington Avenue. Closing date moved to November 30th, 2020. Hopefully we can get before then, but right now to move it to that date. Increase by $50,000 authorization for change orders for Guerrero Construction. They're the ones doing the boulevard. And not to exceed the remaining account balance of $29,000 until we get the $30,000 in the escrow account. So essentially a couple tweaks to it. The good news is Newport is still planning on moving ahead. Their finances take a little longer than expected, but it's there. And this is just kind of tweaking a couple things within the project itself. The good news, it's going well. And hopefully relatively soon, they'll purchase the other two properties from us and start getting in the ground themselves. But just a couple tweaks to it. Jim is on the phone too with any particular questions, as he was the behind the scenes guy putting all the numbers together.
Chris, what is his phone number? What?
Oh, he should be the, yeah, he should be the 860-2 and then the 17 at the end.
Thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
Tim, I'm gonna unmute you. I hope.
Thank you.
There you
Jim?
go.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, Chris covered the main points. The only thing one thing I'd like to add is that in the body of the item, we added $50,000 to the change order authorization, and it should have said to increase it to a total of $169,469 rather than the $129. So just a clarification on that. But again, everything's moving along quickly. We want to make sure this is kind of taking actions to make sure we don't slow things down. And Tony Valenti may be on the line also, but our understanding is that the plan is that they're going to close next week, but sometimes things don't happen, whether the lawyers, the banks, everybody have to line up. So we just wanted to build in a little extra cushion time-wise for the closing.
Tony, I'm gonna unmute you in case you want to say anything. Hopefully I got the right Tony.
Tony?
I'll unmute everybody.
Oh, why not?
Oh, just know everybody, I'm unmuting. Okay.
Tony, you there?
Good evening, Council. It's Tony Valenti.
Hey, Tony.
Hi, Tom.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, Jim and Chris kind of recapped everything, but at this point, there's email confirmation today that we're going to close on the 913 parcel. It's 10 o'clock on the 28th, so a week from tomorrow. We've got a couple more documents to get buttoned up between Newport Realty and the town, but pretty benign agreements. One's an amendment to the purchase and sale agreement, and the second's a new sidewalk easement for 913. So, yeah, we feel very positive. We'll get this closed up by next Wednesday, and we're happy to earlier than we thought. Forfeit the $30,000 deposit, whatever it takes to help the town and us kind of continue to proceed with things. We appreciate that.
Well, that's great. We, as you know, Tony and Mark also, we know you've been unbelievably cooperative. It's a great partnership, so we appreciate that. I know that will always continue till the end of this project, so thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Just a couple of quick updates, if I could. 861 Farmington Avenue, the interior demo is about half a day from being complete. We'll start our basement work next week. Apartment renovation will commence next week. We continue our conversations with Mr. Kokomo to to commence hopefully soon our joint development of 861 and 873. But we at least want to get the 861 property teed up and, re-tenanted as quick as we can. Our application for our foundation permit was submitted to town a week ago. So we're 90% completion and plans for the building at 903 Farmington Avenue. And we're anticipated, since we're going to be closing next week, that we should be in the ground, with some kind of site work, toward the middle or so of November. So we're feeling really good about our progress, and the ball is definitely in motion.
Awesome.
That's great, good to hear. And driving by it today, it actually looks like a road now.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's some sidewalks up and it's beginning to look like a road, which is great. So, performance. All right, any questions you guys have for Tony? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and thank you, Jim, too, for the explanation, and Chris and Tony. We'll go ahead and move on with a couple motions here.
Thank you.
Town manager enter into a contract amendment with Newport Realty Group LLC concerning the sale of 861, 889, 903, and 913 Farmington Avenue, whereby the escrow agent is directed to pay the remaining $30,000 deposit to the town. The cost share is increased by $14,000 to pay for the incremental cost of sidewalks at Farmington Avenue. And the closing date for 913 Farmington Avenue is extended to November 30th, 2020, subject to review and approval of the Corporation Council.
Thank you. Second on that?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 2, motion.
Move to increase by $50,000 the authorization for the town manager to enter into change orders for Guerrera Construction Company pertaining to the Boulevard Berlin train station project to be funded from Farmington Avenue Development non-grant account, provided that the change orders will not exceed the remaining account balance of $29,530.03 until the $30,000 escrow is deposited in the town account.
Thank you. Second on that?
Second that.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the council? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you. All right. So appointments. Yeah, we got appointments. Huh? That's it. That's the last item. Shocker. All right. So we got 2 going on. No, that's good. All right. So we'll go ahead and first one's first here. Take a. So we're going to nominate Peter Zaragoza for planning and zoning alternate. Well, we're opening the nominations. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be nominating, but someone wants to nominate the first candidate.
I would like to nominate Peter Zaragoza.
Thank you. Any other nominations for that spot? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the nominations. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, welcome, Peter. And we got a second one. So second alternate spot. Go ahead and take a nomination.
I'd like to nominate George Miller.
Thank you. Any other nominations for that spot? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the nominations and vote on Mr. Miller. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And I think that, right, that fills up fill up planning and zoning now? Oh, that's good. Progress. I see we have other some other vacancies, and I guess right in the wetlands we got a couple alternates, so we come up with candidates. And I guess one public building. I see we have a bunch on B&A too. Water control. So we have a few still left, but we have filled many of them, so that's good. Okay, town manager's report.
Yes, so the first item, you may recall, last meeting under the audience of citizens, when brought up the car thefts, what's going on in town. So the Berlin PD Chief Plant, Deputy Susie, they've been working on a plan and a program to roll this out community-wide. That'll be good to hear from the deputy what we plan to do. I think hopefully people will listen and start giving their keys in the ignition. We might be able to actually reduce some of these steps, actually eliminate if possible. So, Deputy Susie?
Yes, I'm back. I had a little trouble hearing you. You wanted me to speak about the car theft and the.
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Can you hear me now?
That's all right. Yeah, I can hear you good now. Yep.
Chief, before you start, obviously, we want to hear some advice, but obviously, and you know this, we don't want to divulge any special operations or anything that might be going on. Obviously, we know that, but.
I think, listen, part of the problem, I think, is the residents in town feel safe, you know, and Berlin is a safe community. We want them to feel this way. That's our job. But I think that's probably led to some complacency when it comes to securing valuables and property and things like that. So I know we've done public awareness campaigns before, but despite all that, we're really having a terrible problem with the stolen cars and the theft from motor vehicles. We're not alone. It's a statewide problem. And we're looking at our data all the time, adjusting our patrols, allocating our personnel where we need to. We've done special details on overtime. We've interrupted a bunch of these thefts in progress, but just it's just a multitude of issues that our officers, our pursuit policy prohibits pursuing vehicles for property crimes. You know. So, and the offenders know this. So, like I said, we've interrupted several crimes in progress. That doesn't mean our officers don't try to stop the vehicles that put their lights and sirens on, but as soon as they realize that the vehicle isn't yielding or accelerating away, they don't pursue it. That's where the pursuit policy comes in. If we pursued it, it can only be for a violent felony or crimes against persons or a dangerous person. So for property crimes, that's contributing to our lack of arrests. But anyway, so we looked at our numbers through September 30th so far this year compared to last, and we're up 186% on stolen motor vehicles. So we had 43 this year compared through September 30th compared to 15 last year, and we're up 402% in thefts from motor vehicles. Again, 196 through September 30th versus 39 last year. So again, there's a lot of factors that are playing into this. Probably the pandemic. People are out of work. People are home. They need money, and really, it's a crime of opportunity. It's an easy target. So what the chief would like to do is do like a virtual community forum. I've already spoken to a new reporter at the Citizen. They're going to be coming out with an article again to raise awareness about the problem. Bottom line is the best way to combat this is to get the word out. We got to do better in the community securing our property, but we'll also have different tips in there about not confronting people. There was a shots fired incident when a homeowner confronted a vehicle, interrupted a vehicle, theft from a vehicle, and there's shots fired in Plainville. Same thing happened in Wallingford. So we want to give guidance, but we want to do public awareness. And we also, we'll want to listen to any other ideas. I mean, members of the community got to be our extra eyes and ears. We cover 26 square miles. A lot of times there's only 4 officers on the road. So we want to make strengthen that partnership with the community. And we do get calls for suspicious vehicles. We had some last night. We couldn't locate the car, but nevertheless, we got the call, which is half the battle. So that's kind of the update we got going here. The virtual community forum, we're going to do it on WebEx forum. It'll be on November 4th at 7 p.m. and we're going to put it out on our social media. It'll be in the Citizen, and then members of the community can come on. We'll have presentations from one of our operations lieutenants, our community services officer. I'll be on the call. The chief will probably be on the call, and we'll just kind of talk about this. What else can we do to combat the problem?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Chief. I'm sure we've all received a bunch of calls from our residents, and we've all relayed your good advice that you just gave, and, you know, obviously, so I understand a lot of property has not been secured, which has been an issue, so I just had to call the other day with a lady. I said, you know, just make sure your cars are locked, homes are locked up. Unfortunately, that's the
Yeah.
time we live in, right? So,
Yeah, in September alone, we had 8 stolen vehicles in September. So 6 of them were recovered, 4 in Hartford, 1 in New Britain, 1 in Berlin. But all of them were unlocked, and all of them had the keys or the key fob inside the car. And that's kind of the norm nowadays. Surprisingly enough, it's like they're looking for unlocked cars to find valuables that they can pawn or steal or trade, but they're finding keys in the cars and they're just taking them to use in other crimes and joyriding and everything else. But
so with so the new ignition system with the key fob in the car, what do they have another device, right? Do they have a device if there's a key fob in the car, even if the car is locked, or the car wouldn't?
No, they're just leaving the fob or the physical key in. So
and the car still open.
Press the button to start the car and it goes.
Okay. Yeah. So the car is open with the fob in it.
Yeah.
Or the ignition key. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's you know, unfortunate, but it's what people have.
Yeah, but we like I said, we've kind of we've beaten it up a bunch of times trying to put out the message that we did a 9 p.m. routine on our social media. But that's really the best way to combat the problem. We got to get the word out just to do a better job securing your valuables.
Yeah, we appreciate that. We appreciate you organizing the forum and continuing to remind our residents, you know.
Yep.
So certainly appreciate.
I know you mentioned Halloween before to Chris Edge, but we're actually doing a trunk or treat event at McGee on Halloween from 5 to 8. So, of course, it'll be all socially distanced. Brandon Legoo, one of our DARE officers, is coordinating it with the school. So that's available out there too if you want to spread the word.
Oh, good. And now that's during the day sometime?
From 5 to 8:30 at McGee.
Okay,
Yeah, right.
5 to 8:30.
Yep.
Like a drive-through thing?
Yeah, well, it's actually going to be the where they're handing out candy will be distanced, and you wait in your car until someone calls you up, and then the groups go in socially distant for candy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. All right. Thanks for.
Will that be on the town website too, Chief?
Yeah, it's on our Facebook page now. I'll have the town share it on their Facebook and web.
Thank you.
I'll get that done. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Any other questions for Chief Susie? Okay, thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Since this is the last council meeting before the election, I thought it would be appropriate for us to give you an update on how things are going. We're well prepared to be ready for election day, but Kate has some updated numbers in terms of what we have got for ballots and.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that, number one, I wanted to share with you that as of January 2020, we had 14,408 registered voters in our town. As of right now, we have 16,427. So there's been an increase of, becoming my favorite year, 2019. Anything compared to 2020. And so I thought I just wanted to bring that out to everybody's attention, because the registers in the past 10 months have been adding people, deleting people. We had the 2 primaries in August, and they're still working really diligently on registering. And I get a lot of the applications back, of course, and there may be name changes or something. And you can't just change your name on the application. You have to actually do a voter registration card. So it's a follow-up with all that. And today they were testing the machines and everything. So it's I really feel good that a lot of these little things are getting cleaned up, but it is time consuming and it takes time. All right, so as of right now, we've issued 4,195 absentee ballots, which is 25% of the voters have asked for an absentee ballot. We have received back 2,621 ballots. So I don't anticipate everybody returning ballots. People would call, they were concerned, I would suggest to them to get the absentee ballot so that if they wake up on Tuesday, they don't feel good. We do see the spike that we're kind of seeing, but you don't know how it's going to be in 2 weeks. Then if they don't want to go to the polls, they can just drop the absentee ballot here at Town Hall, in the ballot box. So I do think that people still, if possible, they want to go vote in person. We'll see how the numbers line up at the end. But it's been, and people have been, like I said 2 weeks ago, people have been great. It's been a good community education.
Great. Now, so is it, the time has passed now for, so now they would have their ballots sent out by now? People have the ballots, right?
If they had requested.
If they requested it, okay.
Okay.
So is the request time over now?
No.
Oh, you can still request,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, up until Monday, the day before the election.
Oh, Monday, okay, right, okay.
Which is not a good idea.
No, that's kind of, I was gonna say, that's not the best, thought out policy, right? I know it's not our policy.
It's always been that way,
Yeah,
for years,
I know.
but also,
but the numbers are much bigger this
yeah,
time, so it's,
yeah, it's been fun,
yeah.
but it's, they can request it up until the day before.
Okay,
If there's an emergency, someone goes to the hospital, somebody gets sick 6 days before the election, there's a whole other process we can accommodate people with so that people can be taken care of. But we cannot issue any absentee ballots on election day unless it's an emergency.
Kate, as far as the instructions to work your way through the polls, are they gonna be submitted, or given out to the public beforehand, or is it just basically when you show up at the polls, they'll guide you through how to walk through because I would imagine there's gonna be like one access point in, one access point out.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be when they go to the polls, and part of that's gonna be to see how busy they are at any given time. As you know, from 2 weeks ago, the state has given us a lot of grant money. We've been working hard to cover a lot of that. That's really up to the registrars, but they've been very diligent about making sure that the personal, the PPE is available and that they've already done training on their poll workers. So that happened, I think, last week. And they really, everybody's conscious of what's going on.
And prepared, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
that's great. Thank you for the update. Hey, appreciate it. Keep working hard, I know you will be.
So I'm pleased to announce that we did a search for the Director of Information Systems and Technology. This is Barbara Sagan, who worked at the town for many years, retired. And we interviewed a lot of people and we offered position to Brian Freeman. He is the current technology support person, knowledge manager for the Berlin PD. You probably remember this, some of you, Berlin PD. Technology was not in good shape in 2012 or so, total disarray. I'm told by Chief Clett and Susie. And Brian took over the operation, streamlined it, thought about security, business continuity, disaster recovery, firewalls, storage, cloud computing, all of that. So the PD is not pleased that he's moving on, but we are happy to have it. Part of my thinking, I think I mentioned this to you before, I felt like when I came in, technology, say kindly, was not up to date, but also it was siloed. Meaning that the town had its own strategy of back off, did their own thing. There's a technology person in the library who manages the technology there, and the Board of Ed is doing something that they have to do. So with this move, I will, I've spoken with the PD about this. The person that we will replace in the Berlin PD will report to Brian. since it's his former position. And I would also have the person in the library have a dotted line relationship. And with the Board of Ed, even though they're not reporting to the town, want to have an integrated, coordinated approach to technology so that whenever there is a need in town, or when we are thinking about strategy, it's not siloed, and they all will talk to one another. And whenever there is a need that you know certain technologies are available in the Board of Ed, and maybe we should look at it rather than individual users like Kate and building officials and others trying to find resources for themselves. So just started Monday. We have a long way to go, but I'm really excited about it, and we will definitely see some changes coming up. There will be Cindy Moore, who's been with us for a long time. She has helped us a lot in the last few months to sort of, we were forced to adopt the technology in the last few months, and she's been great, but we can do a lot more in terms of custom interface and helping people and having the technology turned around so that people interfacing with the town will have a better experience.
Great.
Couple of follow-up items, Mr. Mayor, you and I talked about this. One is the golf committee. So what we're thinking right now is rather than having a committee have the same goals and objectives what we want to accomplish, but have the council, joint meeting of the council and the golf commission a couple of times to put everything on the table and move in a certain direction. Do you want to say something about it?
Yeah, I just, in talking to a couple people on the golf commission too, just informally, I mean, they didn't really say it, but after talking to them, I thought that it was just another committee kind of in between. I mean, it's gotta come back to the council anyway. Whatever that independent committee we were talking about trying to staff, which we were gonna staff with probably a couple council members, people from the golf commission anyway, so it just seemed like it's just another commission we probably don't need. I'd rather remember that the other night we were talking about it, we had a list of a few like priorities. First, let's all understand what's going on at the golf course, so we know what's happening there, how it works, what the budget is. Golf commission could give us some information, obviously specifics on that. We can do it in a work session between the council and the golf commission and kind of work through it that way with some, not at council meetings because it's just, there's no time, I don't think it's a good way to do it, but if we have some meetings and or maybe they provide us some information first, we review it, and then we have a work meeting and, we have questions they ask and then we move on to the next step, okay, here's what we got now, where do we think we want to head with their advice and then with what we all, can ask them. So I think it would help to shorten the process a little bit rather than having this other third party and then, golf commission probably would get that information, so would we, and it's just lengthen the discussions, I think. If you guys, that makes sense. Everybody, that way the whole council's involved and the whole golf committee's involved. That's what they're there for anyway. That's what we created them. To help us with running the place or changing the place, whatever we determine down the road. So. Very good. Does that make sense?
Sure.
And again, it'll be a work session. We'll try and keep them brief on maybe some, Thursday nights or whatever, when everyone can make it. Throughout the next, after, whenever maybe we could get one in before the holidays if possible, and then to the new year, work on it.
Absolutely.
So.
Great. It's one more item.
Yep.
It's the ordinance committee.
Oh, yes.
Met just before the pandemic.
Right.
And at that time, we had two items that we had to bring closure. One is the leash law.
Yep.
So I think most people are in agreement, but we also had the issue of the Bicentennial Park where people were taking dogs and letting them run loose without a leash. Then we went a couple of times and we looked at Bristol Creek, and there's a place we believe that can accommodate an area where the dogs can roam freely. enclosed and done safely. So initially we thought we were going to talk to some people, but what I propose is, sooner than later, we meet as an ordinance committee and we discuss these items. I can actually bring a map, show where they are, and have public hearing and people comment on it. And then we should really move on it quickly. But I don't know what you all have busy schedules. I was hoping maybe October 29th, 6 p.m. if we can meet as an ordinance committee, can do that. If you want to wait until after the election, I'm fine with that too.
What do you guys think? You wanna wait till after
Could
the
we
election?
do that?
Huh? Wanna wait?
I'm fine.
Yeah, let's wait.
We can wait till
I mean, it's
the,
really not that long.
yeah,
That would be
another
great.
week's not gonna kill it. The following week maybe? What's that? What, third? Fifth?
We'll let the election week go and then the week after.
The week after.
All right.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah, so the following week, on a Thursday, right? Does that make sense, Thursday night? Okay, and so the leash and the park, are those the only two?
Those are the only two that's.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Yeah, so we'll explore the new spot, so that's great.
but you saw the, I forget what hole it was, but I think it's pretty darn impressive.
It's really nice, I mean, it's
Very nice.
so it's I don't know what hole that is, so across the road where the handicap parking is, it's that first whole fairway right there. The path, so you cross right across from the big parking lot.
Yeah.
There's a couple of handicap spots.
Yeah.
And it's that hole there, I don't know what number that was on the golf
That's
course.
one.
Was that one there? Okay.
We're pretty sure, yeah.
Okay, so it's a beautiful spot. I mean, it's much better manicured than where they are now.
Enclosed nicely.
Plenty of parking, path goes around it, or they can go through it. So, yeah, I mean, it's worth exploring. We've been looking for a spot that may be a better substitute for it. So, yeah, that's great. So, yeah, whenever after that second week of November, I guess. Would be great.
November 12th.
Is that what the date is?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, if we can plan that date, 6
o'clock.
6 o'clock, yeah, that's fine.
Do the other council meeting?
Yes, on the 10th.
Oh, we do, okay, that's fine, yeah, let's.
Is that okay, or you want to
Yeah.
go out another week?
No, let's do it then, I'm looking close to Thanksgiving, so.
Yeah.
Turkeys to buy and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, get it going. I mean, it's just gonna open it up and then we could maybe individually visit the spot too, those of us on the ordinance committee, so we know what it looks like before we decide, but. Right, okay. Yep.
That's all I have.
Just one quick thing, or maybe there's two, I can't remember the second one, but one, so the police pension thing is proceeding, right? Did we give that to our benefits people to give us some type of analysis?
Yeah, we turned it over to Van Holcomb. They are the actuaries.
Okay,
We have to run those numbers individually based on the people who are already in there and run a couple of iterations to see what the plan will look like. So it's gonna take a little bit of time.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
But it's we have already given them the assignment.
Yeah, okay, right.
They are the ones who incidentally developed the plan for Brantford.
Oh, right, that's right, I remember you guys said that, yeah. Oh, that's good, so
they know
they'll
what
be very familiar with changing things and fixing things, and can't think of the second one, but, okay. So that's good, so, thank you, Roche, appreciate that. Special committee reports, we just talked about, I don't think any other committees have met, right? We're gonna plan that one for the ordinance, council communications, what do we have, anything? Nothing, hearing nothing, okay, we'll go ahead and close that, and we will have our acceptance, we have one meeting to accept October 6th, take a motion on that.
I move that we accept the minutes of the meeting of October 6th, 2020.
Thank you, a second on that?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any other comments or corrections on this? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. And we will take a motion to adjourn.
We adjourn.
Moved. Second on that? Second. All those in favor? Aye. So, okay, so moved. So look at that. 8 o'clock we had that. So 1 hour exactly. It's very impressive. Yeah.
Put that in the record book.
That might be a record right there.
It is.
It just turned to 8:01, but I think we already,
Yeah.
I think we had an actual one. So, great, and we got stuff done, too, amazingly. So, thank you, everybody, we'll see you. So, thank you, Jeff. See ya. Good night.
Good night.
And whoever else is on. Thank you.
Right, next council meeting again.
When's the next one?
1 hour?